And how's it going, guys? Josh Olufemii here, and I'm going to teach you how to learn Premiere Pro completely from scratch. That's right, you heard me right, completely from scratch. This tutorial is going to be for complete beginners. I taught video production for 3 years at Santa Barbara City College, and then an additional 5 years via my YouTube channel, Josh Olufemii, formerly known as Olufemii Tutorials. And I actually made a similar tutorial for the 2018 version of Premiere Pro. And I think we got over like 600,000 views, and we got so much dope feedback from people that had absolutely never touched a video editor before, and they came out of that tutorial completely empowered to take on literally any project that came their way. Whether you're trying to edit a video for your company, your YouTube channel, your TikTok channel, your Instagram account, a music video, this tutorial is going to help you with all of that. And I promise you, if you just stick with me, we're going to have the best journey together. And it's not going to take that long either. In this tutorial, we're going to learn video editing by actually creating a company video for this fake company that we're going to call Acme Construction, led by industry veteran Osh Jackson. Let's play the complete video that I'm going to show you how to make right now. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies, from as far north as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. We specialize in 3 main areas: high-rise commercial construction, schools, and residential units. And we cannot wait to collab with you for your next project. So what are a few things you would have noticed in this ad? You would have noticed that it was made up of a bunch of clips that were organized and cut to portray a specific narrative. You would have seen that it faded out at the end and faded in from black at the beginning. You would have noticed that there were some places where you'd see text come at different portions of the screen and fade in and out as well. You would have noticed that the clips were colored a little bit. You may have noticed that the sound levels were pretty level. You would have noticed that there was some music in the background. You may have also noticed that there was some footage that I put on top of the footage of myself speaking. These are just a few things that we're going to go over regarding all the elements it takes to put together a professional looking edit. Now, do the tools that you need to video edit cost money? This is a question that a lot of people ask me, and the simple answer is yes, they do. Whether it's your basic video editing software, your preferred plugins, your effects packs, stock footage, music tracks, etc., etc. There are so many options regarding where you can spend your money when it comes to video production. I'm going to try to simplify things though and show you the process that I go by. I use Adobe Premiere Pro as my sole editing software. It's $20 per month, and I'm going to assume you already have it downloaded at this point. In the next section, I'm going to actually show you how to get your first 2 months of Premiere Pro for free. For all my other media needs, I use Envato Elements. Envato Elements is a subscription service that gives you unlimited downloads for over 1 million digital assets of just about any product that you could ever dream of needing. I'm talking about royalty-free music, stock footage, effects packs, Premiere Pro templates, transition packs, text packs, lower thirds, and so much more. It's $33 a month, but I'm going to show you how to get your first month for only $9. The Envato Elements subscription model actually ends up being a pretty good deal, because having to purchase all of these assets individually can get pretty expensive pretty fast. For example, a single stock footage clip can cost as much as $200 or even more on a lot of stock footage sites. I mean, most really good Premiere, transition, or effects packs cost $15 to $20 minimum on most sites. So hopefully you're seeing how paying $9 once at the beginning of the month for Envato Elements for literally unlimited downloads of all this stuff ends up being a pretty good deal. I'm going to try to show you as fast as I can how to get these 2 deals, the first one for Envato Elements and the second one for Premiere Pro, before I go into the real meat of this tutorial. Alright guys, first showing you how to get Envato Elements for $9. Alright guys, first things first, you click the button in the description, then click on the red button, start now, and then type in your information to sign up. First name, last name, then your email, click set up your account, and then pick the password that you want. Say that you're not a robot, and then click create your account. All right, now just type in all your details, first name, country, address, city, all that stuff. Then you pick your payment method. You could either pay $33 per month, or you could pay the whole year all at once and pay the equivalent of $16.15 per month. As you can see on the right, that $9 for the first month discount is automatically added. You don't have to do anything. Then you type in your credit card or debit card or PayPal information, and then you click complete order. All right, second, I'm gonna show you how to get Premiere Pro free for the first 2 months. All right, we are here at creativecloud.adobe.com, and this is actually my first time doing this, but evidently all you gotta do is you need to go to manage account, and you're gonna go to cancel plan. I'm gonna say it's too expensive. Okay, and then I'm going to go to continue again. And here we go. You get to offers, and here's the offer. It says best offer. It's get your next 2 months free and save 60 bucks basically. How about I accept that offer? There you go. Set. Your 60 days are free, and I am now not canceling. I am back on my Adobe plan, but I just got my next 60 days for free. All right, guys, I hope you're excited as I am to begin video editing. We are on our computer's desktop, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna click onto Adobe Premiere. Alrighty, first things first, we're going to create a new project in Adobe Premiere. We're gonna name the project. How about we name it Acme Construction? And then we're gonna choose the location where we wanna save that project file. We go to Browse, and then how about we save it on our desktop within the folder that we already created called Acme Construction. We're gonna select that folder. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the General tab, and we're gonna go over to Renderer. Render is what we're gonna use to tell Premiere whether we want to play back our footage using the computer's CPU via the Mercury Playback Engine software only option, or whether we want to use the computer's GPU using that secondary option that's there if our GPU is strong enough to offer it. Just remember that the GPU option is always the better option because it means Premiere will be able to process through your footage faster. We have the option of using our GPU, so we're going to click that. Don't worry about any of these things, and don't worry about these tabs. We're going to click OK. Okay, and now we are viewing the main Premiere Pro interface. It's actually pretty simple, guys. It's only 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first quadrant we're going to look at is called the project window. And this is going to be where we store all of our media, whether it be our footage or our audio or anything in between. So first we're going to import all of the media that we're going to use for this project. So we're going to right click and we're going to go import. And then, we're going to go to our desktop, go to our Acme Construction folder that we put all of our footage and audio in. And we're going to highlight all of our footage and audio. Make sure you don't click on this. This is your project file. You don't need that. You want only your footage and your audio. So we're going to click open. And all of our footage and all of our audio is now in our project window. So what I want to do is I want to organize this a little bit more. I want to separate the footage from the audio. So I can do that by right clicking and creating a new bin. This is just like basically creating a folder just for the sake of organization. Let's name this one clips. You can tell which are clips and which are audio by these little markers here. This is the little video reel where you see the video reel and audio. These are clips that have audio, and these are just audio files where you can just see the sound waves without anything else. So this is all the footage. I'm going to put it in clips. And then I'm going to make a new bin, and I'm going to call this one audio. This is just going to have all of our audio, whether it be my audio of me speaking or the music. We're just going to put it all in audio. Cool. So now I'm going to start using footage to create my edit. So I want to choose the part of my clip that I want to use first for my edit. So what we're going to do is let's choose this footage and footage 6. How about we say that? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we're going to click on this footage and we're going to see that it comes up here in this window. This is called the source window. So as you can see, your footage is stored in the project window, but when you click on it, you're able to play through that footage within the source window. Pretty easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to choose the part of the footage that we want to actually edit within our timeline window. I'm going to tell you what your timeline window is for in a second. So what we want to do is we want to choose the piece of footage from here. We're going to click mark in to say here. We're going to click mark out. We can also use the I key on your keyboard as well as the O key on your keyboard to mark in and out. Okay, cool. So we want to use this part of the clip. So we can choose either to drag just the video by clicking on the drag video button, which is the film reel, and drag it down to our timeline window. Or we can choose just to drag the audio by clicking on the drag audio button, which is just the waveform. And you can see that you're just dragging the audio, no video. This is video, no audio, audio, no video. Or you can drag both by just clicking on the actual footage itself, the picture itself, and you can have both your video and audio. So now here we're going to talk about the third window, which is called the timeline window. The timeline window is where your edit is going to come together. It's where you're going to cut together and organize all your different clips and audio to create your final beautiful piece, your final edit, your final work of art. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to check out how the timeline window is separated. It's actually separated into two sections: your video tracks and your audio tracks. Your video tracks start at V1, then it goes to V2, V3, and it counts up basically indefinitely. And then your audio tracks start at A1 and they count down indefinitely. I want to show you that you can create a new video track by literally just taking your footage and dragging it up. And as you can see, I'm creating a new video track. I can do the same with my audio tracks. I'm creating an audio track 5, 6, 7, and it keeps going down indefinitely. It's pretty convenient. You can expand or zoom in on the timeline by clicking on the scroll bar at the bottom. You can scroll from one end to another. So what you're going to see is that within the timeline window, you're going to have different edits taking place within different tabs. And these tabs are called sequences. You can have as many sequences as you want. In this case, we only have one sequence open, and it was arbitrarily named footage 6. So sequences are stored in the project window. As you can see, this first sequence called footage 6 is stored here. If you want to create a new sequence, you're going to right click, you're going to go to new item, and then you click on sequence. You then have the option of determining what the sequence settings are. The sequence settings are mainly referring to the sequence's resolution and the frame rate. The sequence settings should usually be identical to the base frame rate of your footage, as well as the resolution of your footage. I'm going to go to the settings, and I know that first things first, let's make sure our editing mode is on custom so we can choose our settings ourselves. We know that we probably want sequence settings that are 23.976 frames per second, because our footage is 23.976 frames per second that we're going to be editing in our sequence. Now I want to let you guys know that I am editing in the United States. That's an NTSC country, which means that their base frame rate is 23.976 frames per second. If you are living in a lot of other countries in the world, you may be in either a PAL country or a CCAM country. That includes Australia, all of Europe, a lot of Africa, a lot of South America. And that means that your base frame rate is going to be 25 frames per second. So you're going to learn this in future tutorials, but whenever you want to shoot at a higher frame rate, say 60 frames per second or 50 frames per second, if you want to do slow motion footage, don't put that higher frame rate in your sequence settings. You want to only use your country's base frame rate settings. So again, if you're in a NTSC country like the US, you're going to be using 23.976. Or if you're in a PAL or CCAM country like Australia or several countries in Europe, you're going to be using 25 frames per second. And then we probably want our sequence size to be a resolution of 1920 in the horizontal direction and 1080 in the vertical direction. So that's a normal HD resolution. As far as our pixel aspect ratio, you always want that to be square pixels. As far as our fields, we want that to be no fields, progressive scan. That's going to prevent you from having a bunch of weird artifacts. leave your display format to be 23.976 frames per second. Leave your audio sample rate to be 48,000 hertz. What I like to do for my video previews is I like to change this actually to QuickTime. And I like to change the codec to ProRes 422HQ. We'll discuss why later, but basically this format is going to allow your footage to play through a lot quicker. Okay, and then you're going to, you can also name the sequence if you want. We can name this sequence main. You can name it whatever you want though. And then we're going to click OK. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete this extra sequence that I created, which is main, because I don't need it. That was just to show you how to make a new sequence. So we're going to click clear to delete it. And we are here in our old sequence that was weirdly named footage 6. So this sequence is called footage 6. That is kind of a weird name for a sequence. Where did that come from? Well, it's pretty simple. By default, Premiere is going to name your sequence by the name of the first clip that you put in your sequence. And as you can see, the first and only clip in this sequence is called footage 6. I want to remind you that unlike the sequence that we called main, we didn't go through the time to actually select the correct sequence settings. We just literally drug this clip into what was an empty timeline window. And so Premiere was forced to create this sequence. We can be assured then that the sequence settings probably aren't correct. And obviously the name could be changed to something better as well. So how do we change the settings of a sequence that's already been made? Easy. All you got to do is we're going to go up to sequence. And then we're going to click on sequence settings. And here we go. We have all of these sequence settings. And now we're going to actually be able to change these sequence settings to what we know to be what they need to be. So this is on custom, like we already know it should be. Time base should be 23.976 frames per second because I'm in the US. Frame size should be 1920 by 1080. That's normal HD. Of course, pixel aspect ratio, if you remember, should be square pixels. Fields should be no fields progressive scan. The display format should be the same as the frame rate, 23.976 frames per second, 23.976 frames per second. Sample rate for the audio should be 48,000. Leave that the same. The video previews, we want to change that, if you remember, to QuickTime. The codec to ProRes 422HQ. Leave this resolution to be the same as the frame resolution up here, 1920 by 1080, 1920 by 1080. And then we're going to click OK and OK. Cool. So now we know that these settings for this sequence that we just created are the correct settings. And an easy fix, if we want to change this name from something other than footage 6, we can just click on it here and then we'll change it to what do we want to call this? We're going to call this my first project. Something cute like that. All right, guys, the next thing that we're going to go over is the program window. The program window is related to your playhead. Whatever your playhead is currently on in your timeline is going to be visually represented in your program window. So through the program window, you're actually able to visually see what your edit looks like. A few things to understand regarding the playhead. The playhead will only be able to see the top video that's in the timeline. So check this out. I have two videos here. I have footage 6, and then let's go over to clips and let's bring a video of San Francisco. Double click on this video. I only want the video. So I'm going to click on this. And now I have two clips on top of each other. One footage from San Francisco, and then this other footage down below, footage 6, you can't see it anymore. You can only see the top clip as far as the footage goes. That is not the case for audio though. Say I have two clips. Let's have this clip right here, Josh video. This video has audio, and I'm gonna go click on this clip. This clip I see has audio as well. So I have two clips on top of each other. You're gonna see both, you're gonna hear both sets of audio. Audio from San Diego and audio from me talking underneath. but you'll only be able to see the video from the top clip. The playhead is only able to see the video from the top clip. Not only can you hear the audio, you can see a visual representation of the audio through the audio meter right on the side. All right, guys, we're almost done covering the interface of Premiere. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the toolbar. The toolbar is kind of in the middle of all the quadrants. We're going to first start off by talking about the selection tool. The selection tool is probably the most common tool you'll be using. It's just a normal arrow tool that allows you to move the clips around wherever you want it. You're also able to, say, cut the clip from either side. I want to show you specifically, if you put your arrow tool at the edge of the clip, it'll turn red and you'll see this arrow that allows you to cut it to whatever length that you want. You can do it from either side. Okay, cool. The next tool that we're going to look at is something called the blade tool or the razor tool. The razor tool allows you to cut your clip wherever you want. Usually after you use your razor tool, you're going to go right back to your selection tool so that you can move your clip to the area that you want to move it. And the last tool that we're going to cover is the type tool. This is just a normal type tool that you can use to put text on your video. I'm going to just type hello. When you type text on your video, it comes out as a text clip that you can move around and place over any footage that you want. Or you can place it over no footage and you'll just see text on top of a black background. Now, let's talk about the timeline window again. The timeline window has some interesting features in regard to the video tracks and the audio tracks. I'm going to stack up a few tracks on top of each other just so I can show you guys another example of its capabilities. Now, see these little eyes right here? These eyes enable you to disable tracks so that you can see them and so that you can't see them. When I don't want to see a track, I click on the eye that's next to the track and I do what I call blinding the track. So I just blinded this entire track, so you will not be able to see any clips that are on this entire track, aka this hello track. This hello clip you're not going to be able to see anymore. How about I blind this track, V2? Now you're not going to be able to see this clip right here. If I blind the last track, you're not going to be able to see any of these clips. So you can do something similar with audio by actually muting or soloing tracks. So you can see there's audio for this track, A2. I can mute this track, and that means that the only track that I'm going to be able to hear is this remaining track where there is audio. So I'll only be able to hear A3. If I mute this track too, I won't be able to hear anything. You can also do the opposite of muting. You can do something called soloing. So if I click S, that means I'm soloing this track, A2. And that means I'll only be able to hear audio from A2. It doesn't matter how many other audio clips are below, I will only be able to hear from A2 when I press play. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to single out a specific clip again, and I want to show you how to adjust effects on a clip. So we're going to go back to the source window. Remember, there's the project window, the source window, the timeline window, and the program window. We're going to go to the source window and we're going to actually click on another tab that we haven't looked at yet called Effects Controls. Effects Controls is going to be dependent on the specific clip that you're clicked on. So I'm going to click on this clip right here, this footage of San Diego. And as you can see, there's a bunch of effects that are by default always on every clip that you're able to edit. Now I'm going to show you a way how you can actually add additional effects onto clips, but for right now we're just going to deal with the default effects. The default effects are as follows. Position. This allows you to control the position of the clip and drag it back and forth in the X space or the Y space. Then there's the scale. You can change the scale of the clip, make it bigger or smaller. Let's change the position and then change the scale. Then you can change the rotation by picking the angle that it's going to rotate at. Let's bring it back to 0. All right. And then we can control the opacity as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to click off the stopwatch. I'm going to tell you what the stopwatch is for soon, but for now we're just going to click it off, and we're just going to control the opacity. This is basically the transparency of the clip. So 100% opacity means that you cannot see through it at all. And then there's 0% opacity. That means it's completely transparent. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually align the clip so that it just fills in the edges. Perfect. Now down here, you have default audio effects as well. Again, let's turn these stopwatches off for now. And the only audio effect that we're going to talk about is the volume. The volume is pretty intuitive. It just basically tells you how loud the audio in your clip is going to be. You can control your volume down here. Alrighty, next thing that we're going to talk about is effects. So we've talked about the effects controls panel and the default effects that are on the effects controls panel that you can find regardless of the piece of footage that you are dealing with. But how do you add extra effects that are apart from those default effects? Well, we're going to go to the effects panel. That is down here in the project window. So we're kind of changing things up again, but the general layout is still the same as far as Premiere goes. So this is the effects panel. This is basically going to show you the entire effects library. So let's go into video effects. There are any number of video effects. You can go to, let's go to a blur effect, the Gaussian blur effect. We'll drag that onto our clip. Now check this out. We're going to drag it onto the clip and it's going to appear in the effects controls panel. Why is that? Because this effects library remains the same. The effects controls panel is specifically linked to the clip that is being clicked on. So if I click on this clip, you're going to see the Gaussian blur effect that I just put on from the effects library. If I click on, say, this clip, that Gaussian blur effect is no longer in effects controls because effects controls is attached to the specific clip that is being clicked on. Okay, perfect. So you can then go in and you can change the effect within the effects controls panel once it's been dragged in. So I can change the blurriness. I can make it really blurry. I can make it less blurry. And each of these effects have different ways that it can be controlled. They're all pretty intuitive. Now let's go out of video effects and let's look at audio effects. Audio effects, there are so many different audio effects, whether it be reverb, echo effects. We're not going to really go into that. You can even add another volume effect if you want to raise the volume crazy high, but we won't even go into that. We're going to go into video transitions now. Video transitions are just what it sounds like. It offers different stylistic ways to transition between clips. So I have this clip and I'm going to put it right smack dab against this clip right here. And as you can see, I could go to, let's go into dissolve. This is one of the most common transitions, a basic cross dissolve. I'm going to drag this effect. I'm going to drag this transition in between these two clips. You always drag transitions in between clips. And what a cross dissolve is going to do is it's going to allow one clip to fade out as that next clip is fading in. I'm going to click on this cross dissolve and delete it. If you don't have a transition, you're just going to have a hard cut between two clips, just as you'd expect. Cool. So one thing I want to do, guys, is I want to show you something. You can put that cross dissolve on either the end of a clip to make it fade in from nothing. You can also put a cross dissolve on the other end of the clip to make it fade out to nothing. And then, of course, I already told you, let's delete that you can put a cross dissolve in between two clips to fade in between clips. But what I want to show you in addition to that, guys, is cross dissolve is such a common transition that Premiere Pro has made it really easy for you. If you go to your selection tool, like you should be in already, you can actually just hover over the edge of a clip where when the selection tool turns red with this kind of red arrow thing that we talked about before, and then right click. And then you can say apply default transition. And that cross dissolve will automatically be placed. You can, of course, change that default transition in settings. We're not going to go into that, but this is an easy way to kind of create a cross dissolve, so you can fade in, or you can maybe even put one on this end and fade out without having to go into effects and going and finding video transitions, dissolved and cross dissolved, and dragging it onto the clip. This is way easier. Whoa, guys, what is this? If you check down here, you can see that kind of a cross dissolve was added to the audio as well. So I'm gonna undo what I just did, Control Z, and I'm gonna show you something. Cross dissolve, there's a cross dissolve for audio as well as a cross dissolve for video. Okay, let's go check it out real quick. Let's go over to audio transitions. It's called constant power. We can delete that. We can delete that, and we'll put it on manually. Constant power is basically a fade in and a fade out. It's that simple. Again, you can, instead of going through the trouble of putting it on manually, you can add constant power the same way that you add cross dissolve to your clips, to your audio, just by clicking on the edge and saying apply default transition. Let's delete these for now. And I'm going to go over a very important tool. Now that we're talking about how clips are interacting with each other, I want to discuss the snapping tool. Make sure that the snap in timeline tool is always clicked on, meaning make sure it's always blue. That's going to make sure that when you are trying to align clips together, that they're going to actually snap into place like that. If you had this off, you wouldn't be able to accurately put clips right so that they're touching each other right on the edge. They're going to kind of have the tendency to slide into each other and cut through each other. If you have the snap button on, you know that your clip is going to snap exactly onto the edge of the clip, and you're going to see that little white arrow go in between each clip, and you're going to know that those clips are touching right on the edges of each other. Alrighty, and now what I want to do is I want to actually start editing this video. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to highlight everything, and I'm going to delete all those clips. I'm going to go back into our project window. I'm going to go to clips, and I'm going to start from scratch, meaning I'm going to go in and I'm going to click on this footage called Josh video. I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to listen to it. My name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. All right, that video sounds horrible. The audio sounds horrible because this video has the audio from the camera attached to it. We're going to actually overlay it with the video. We're going to actually overlay it with the audio from the mic that you see me using. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's drag this entire clip, audio and video, into the timeline. Let's say keep existing settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to now go to audio, and we're going to go to Josh audio. I already know that this audio is the audio from the mic, so I'm going to drag this into here. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I need to figure out how to align this audio. So this audio, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction, was recorded separately from this video. So the question is, okay, how do I make sure that this audio is aligned perfectly with this video so that when I'm talking, you're going to hear the audio from the mic in perfect sync? Well, what you can do is we could actually do it manually by actually looking at my mouth and seeing maybe where I say, hi, my name's Josh, and then looking at the audio and saying, and seeing hi, and seeing, excuse me, where I say, hi, my name's Josh. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm, or Osh, but I'm not going to do that. It's going to take way too much work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually highlight both clips, and I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to go to synchronize. and I'm going to make sure that I'm synchronizing my audio. Then I'm going to click OK. Perfect. So now if I play this clip. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Perfect. So now I can see that this audio is synced perfectly with this video. So I'm actually hearing two different audio tracks. I'm hearing the audio track from the camera, which is attached to this video, which doesn't really sound good. And I'm also hearing the good audio from the mic. The reason why this audio sounds so much better is because it's closer to my mouth. So what I want to do is I want to actually mute the audio from the camera that's attached to my clip by actually just muting this entire track. So now I'm only going to hear the remaining track down here, A2, and that's good. Let's actually crop this clip down so it starts exactly where the audio starts. Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Perfect, guys. So now we're going to start having some fun. We're going to start trimming this clip down. So I'm going to move my playhead. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable... Okay, so I want to have my clip start. Let's zoom in on the timeline. I want to have my entire video start right when I say, hi, my name is Osh Jackson. Okay, and we're going to press play. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Okay, I want to stop there, and I want to cut the clip. So let's go to the blade tool. Then I'm going to cut my clip, and then I'm going to cut my audio as well. Then I'm going to go back to my selection tool, and then I'm going to crop this clip, and I can actually see that the audio where I start talking starts there. So I'm going to try to guess and kind of like cut it right up until where I see that audio starting. And then I'm going to drag my clip over here. If you aren't able to see your audio that well, you can actually come over here and make your timeline bigger so your audio is more apparent. Perfect. So let's keep playing it. Owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to go and get my blade tool and cut my audio right when I stop talking. And I'm going to cut my video at the same place. I'm going to go back to my selection tool, and then I'm going to see that I actually start talking here. So I'm not going to even play through the video. I'm going to just guess that this is where I want to cut to next. And then I'm going to drag this clip here so that you can't hear any of the spaces in my video. California. We provide construction services. Okay, I just made a mistake, right? So I want to cut this area out where I made the mistake. So let's cut it out. We provide construction. Okay, so I see that I started talking there. I'm assuming that's the part where I made a mistake. And I see I started talking again here. So I'm going to cut this area out where I see talking that I assume is the bad talking. Then I'm going to just drag this clip in to touch this clip. Let's listen to it again. I'm pressing spacebar right now instead of play. It's the same thing though. Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the country. We provide construction service. I made another mistake, so we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to cut this part of the clip out. I'm assuming that this is where I start and where I actually say it right. That's California. We provide construction services to the counties. Perfect. Instead of using the play and the stop button, use spacebar. It's a lot more easy. It's going to allow you to be a lot more exact when you're trying to stop your playhead. Perfect. So I'll end that way. Perfect. So guys, that is a basic edit. What we're going to do now is we're going to start placing footage on top of me speaking. My name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. Okay, how about we start with that? Let's look for footage of Los Angeles, California. What I'm doing is I'm doing something called message matching. This is the A-roll. That's what our A-roll is, what we call our main footage of, say, me talking. And then this Los Angeles footage is something that I call, or something that the industry calls B-roll. B-roll is the secondary footage that message matches to the A-roll. So here is some footage of Los Angeles. Let's go in right there. Let's go out right there. And then we're going to drag just the footage, video only, onto my timeline. And then I'm going to place and then I'm going to press play. Contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's. Perfect. Let's align it just so that it starts when I say Los Angeles, California. A contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region. Perfect. Cut it right there. Okay, cool. Now let's just look at some random construction footage that I can add in there. There we go. In. Let's play for a little bit. Out. Perfect. Let's drag this video on top. Let's just look for some other construction footage that we can throw in there. Which is pretty good, right? There we go. We'll put that somewhere. Let's keep watching it. Services to the region's fastest growing companies from as far north as San Francisco. Okay, San Francisco, that's another specific point that we can message match to, right? So let's look for footage of San Francisco. I believe I have that right here. Let's go in and out, and then let's bring just the video over to where I say San Francisco. Far north as San Francisco to say it right there. All right, so you guys remember, you can only see the top footage in your timeline. So you can see me from as far north as San Francisco as I do as far south as San Diego. As soon as I put this secondary B-roll footage, you're only going to be able to see this footage. North as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. San Diego, let's go look for some San Diego footage. Right here, let's go in and let's go out and then bring the video down here. Let's press play. South as San Diego. We specialize in perfect. Okay. 3 main areas: high-rise commercial, schools, and residential units. All right. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend just a little bit of time adjusting this B-roll, and I'm going to add a little bit more B-roll on there just to make things look extra professional. Alrighty, so all I did was I laid out all of my footage, all of my B-roll specifically, over my A-roll, so it made sense. And now I'm going to start adding some text. And if you are wondering where I got this footage, no, I did not go to a construction site to film that, or Los Angeles, or San Francisco, or San Diego, or a school, or any of this stuff. I simply got this footage from Envato Elements, because they have a huge stock footage library that is absolutely amazing. Okay, so I'm going to now add text. So if you remember, you go to the type tool, and then we're going to first say Osh Jackson, my quote unquote name, down in the right hand or left hand corner. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson. Okay, so I want to type Osh Jackson right here. Oh, I want this to be all in caps. I'm going to click caps lock. I'm going to do Osh Jackson. All right, let's back up. This is too big. It's not fitting. So how about I highlight everything? Let's go over to the effects controls tab. And as you can see, there's all these default effects that we looked at before, motion and all that stuff. But what's interesting is I'm in a text clip. So I'm not in a normal video clip. I'm in a text clip. So I have now the option to adjust my text, and that is awesome. So let's go over to the size. We can drag it down. This is all pretty intuitive. We can add that N there now that the text is small enough to fit within this text box. I like, this is a good font. Din Aught bold. And let's click on that text again, and let's go over to the position and drag it down in the Y position. Perfect. So let's Hello there, my name is Osh. I want it to start right there. Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. I want Osh Jackson to end right when you see the construction footage, like that. Cool. So I'm going to zoom in on my timeline, and look what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to add my, actually let's bring it up here. I'm going to add my default transition, which is going to be the cross dissolve, if you remember. So let's play through it. It's Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Cool. I can, if I even want to, I could actually even have it cross dissolve in the end as well. Let's apply that default transition. That's so much easier doing it that way, right? Than going over to effects and then going over to video effects and finding cross dissolve, which is going to be within, sorry, that's going to be in transitions, video transitions. Go to dissolve, cross dissolve. We can just do the shortcut right clicking on the edge of the clip. Okay, cool. So let's keep watching. Of Acme Construction. All right, let's type Acme Construction in there. So we're still in our text tool, and we're going to create another text box, and we're going to type Acme Construction. Let's highlight this entire text. Let's go over to, make sure we're clicked on this clip. We're gonna go to the Effects Controls tab, go back to text, and we're gonna make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Let's click off of it. Let's adjust it. Let's go to our razor tool, sorry. And I'm going to cut it right there. Go back to our selection tool, and I'm going to click on this part of the text, and I'm going to delete it. So check this out. Acme Construction. Acme Construction. I don't like where it's placed. Let's click on this, and then let's go over to the position, and let's drag it down a bit like that. And let's drag it over to the side a little bit too. Perfect. And you know what? I'm going to actually have it fade in and fade out. So let's add that cross dissolve to the end like we did before. Let's add that cross dissolve to the other end as well. There we go. Let's play through it. The owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add text now to the rest of the video, and then we'll play through the entire video just so you can see where we're at. Okay, cool, and play. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies, from as far north as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. We specialize in 3 main areas: high-rise commercial, schools, and residential units. And we cannot wait to collab with you for your next project. Awesome. Let's have it fade out at the end. I'm going to add a fade out right there. Cool. Hopefully you guys are ahead of me on this one, but the reason I don't really care about this track fading out is this track is muted. This audio track is the audio that is from the actual camera that I'm not even using. I'm using the audio from the mic. So if I want to fade out the mic, I could technically. Let's apply the default transition. That's constant power. That's basically cross dissolve. It's basically a fade out or a cross dissolve for audio. We can do a fade in as well. Perfect. All right, guys, the next thing we're going to do is I want to add a little bit of music to the background. So let's go over to the project window again, and then let's go into, what do we have? Let's go over to the audio folder and let's click on this music. This is some music that I got from Envato Elements, and Envato Elements has an incredible royalty-free music library. Let's listen to it real quick. Cool, you get the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this entire track. I'm not going to even cut it out by doing in and out. I'm just going to drag the entire track down, and then I'm going to cut it up in the timeline instead of up here. So it's a really long track. Let's zoom out a little bit on the timeline, and then we're going to go to the end of the track and cut it back. And then I'm going to zoom in on the timeline. Okay, and then I'm going to press play. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Way too loud. That music is way too loud. So what do? We're going to click on the music. And we're going to go to Effects Controls. You guessed it. We're going to go to Volume. And remember, take these stopwatches off. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to just bring the volume down a little bit. Let's bring it down from 0 decibels to like -20 decibels. And let's hear how that sounds. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies, from as far north as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. We specialize in 3... I could make the music a little bit softer, or I can make my audio a little bit louder. I'm going to make my audio a little bit louder. So again, let's take these annoying stopwatches off, turn them off. And we're going to use the volume in my audio, and we're going to bring it up. Let's bring it up to 5 decibels. Let's see how that sounds. And I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Let's bring it up even louder. Let's bring it up to 10 decibels. See how that sounds. Osh Jackson, and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Perfect. So what we can do is we can actually do that for every single one of these clips. So I'm going to click on this one. And I'm going to bring the audio up to 10. Perfect. I want to show you another way to do it too. I can zoom in and I can actually, let's expand this track out a little bit. Bam. And I can actually control the audio right in the timeline, and I can bring it to 10 that way as well. Cool. I'm going to go over here, and then I can go up here and bring it to 10 like that. And then I'll bring this one to 10 as well. Cool. Let's see how this sounds. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies, from as far north as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. We specialize in 3 main areas. That sounds good. Now guys, this is what we got to do next. This video looks pretty bad. It needs a little bit of color work. The reason why it looks so bad is my camera is actually a pretty good camera. It's a Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and it shoots raw footage, which usually comes out really flat, and you need to edit it in order for it to look normal. But it doesn't matter what kind of footage you have. This is a good practice anyway, learning how to color your footage in Premiere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually highlight all of this. This is my these are a combination of my B-roll video as well as my text, and I'm going to bring it up 1 track. So now I have some space in between my B-roll and my text and my main track. And I'm going to actually create something called an adjustment layer. I'm going to show you what that is. What you can do is I could place a color effect right on my clip, but that's kind of annoying because I'd have to place an effect. I'd have to place that color effect on each of my clips. But if I put an adjustment layer over everything, I just have to place that effect on the adjustment layer, and then it'll apply to everything below the adjustment layer. That may sound confusing, but it's going to make sense in a sec. So let's do this. I'm going to first go over to effects. And I'm going to actually, no, first I'm going to go to project, and I'm going to go to new item, and I'm going to go to an adjustment layer. Click OK. And I'm going to bring this adjustment layer over, oops, undo. I'm going to bring that adjustment layer over all of my clips. Okay. Now I want this adjustment layer to just affect my speaking audio, my A-roll. I don't want it to affect this footage or, you know, this B-roll footage that's on top. That's why I made sure that my adjustment layer was underneath my text and underneath my B-roll footage. It's only on top of this footage. So any effect that I put on my adjustment layer, it will only affect my Josh video speaking footage. Hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to add a color effect. So what I could do is I could go to effects, and I could go to video effects, and then I could go to color. Where is color? Color correction. And then I could put Lumetri color onto my adjustment layer. And then I could go into my effect controls, and I could start editing stuff. And I could show you how to edit the color temperature or the tint or the white balance or the exposure or the highlights or the shadows. But I'm going to show you a easier way to do all this. I'm going to actually delete this effect and show you a special way that you can do color that's unlike any other effect in Premiere. If you are in the color workspace, I'm not going to go into what workspaces are, but just realize that if you click on this color workspace, you're going to be able to do everything that I'm about to tell you. You're going to be able to edit, do your sound stuff, do everything that you want to do. But in addition to that, you will be able to color your footage using this color tab that appears on the right-hand side. So I want to show you something. Right now on this adjustment layer, there are no effects other than the default effects. But watch, the minute I go into this Lumetri color tab and I tweak the color a little bit, for example, let's bring the exposure way up. The minute that happens, you'll see the Lumetri color effect instantaneously pop up in the effects controls. So by adjusting the color effect, in essence, it is as if you went into the video effects, into color correction, and you popped this color, Lumetri color effect, and put it in here. If you actually go in, you can see that you can affect the Lumetri color in here as well, but these exact controls are duplicated over on this side. And I like using this side because it's a lot more colorful. You see, you can see the colors. It's a lot, the controls are a lot bigger and they're a lot more fun to use. So we're going to color correct in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring this back to 0. And I'm going to just do a couple of things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up the highlights. I want to basically add some contrast. So I'm going to make the highlights really, which is the brighter part of the image, really bright. And then I want the shadows, which is the darker part of the image, to be a lot darker. I'm going to go over to something called Lumetri Scopes, which is in my source window. And right next to effects controls. And these scopes are kind of, there's a lot of scopes you can use. I'm right now using the waveform Luma scope. You can kind of, I'm going to uncheck this one. You can choose any of these scopes you want to use, but let's just stick with the waveform Luma right now. This is a graphical representation of your entire image. Basically, these are the brighter parts of your image and these are the darker parts of your image. What I want to do is I want to make sure that my whitest white, which is right here, is going to be at 100. And I want to make sure that my blackest black, which is like right here, is at or near 0. So let's go over to highlights. Highlights are at 100. Let's go over to whites. Whites are controlling the whitest white of the highlights right here. So I'm going to make sure that's pretty high as well. It's almost to 100. That's fine. We're going to go to my blacks and I'm going to bring my blacks down so my blackest black is touching 0. That is going to give me a great contrast. And as you can see, let's actually go over to my effect controls and you can actually turn on and off an effect by clicking on the effects. This is what I looked like before. So flat, so boring, so ugly. And now look at me now. When I turn the effect on, that's pretty good. Commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies from as far north. That's about all I'm going to do. One thing that I can do is if I have a weird tint to my video, like you can see this video is tinted slightly, maybe a little bit orange. You can add a little bit of blue to get that color temperature a little bit more accurate. But we're not going to talk about color temperature and color correction too deeply in this video. That will be for another tutorial. So guys, let's watch this through one more time. Hello there, my name is Osh Jackson and I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies from as far north as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. We specialize in 3 main areas: high-rise commercial, schools, and residential units. And we cannot wait to collab with you for your next project. All right guys, last thing that we got to do is we need to make sure the music fades out. Let's bring the music out a little bit. Let's add a default transition and let's fade it out. And let's see how that sounds for your next project. Speed it out a little bit more. For your next project. That sounds a lot better. Great job, guys. Great work. This has been incredible. Now, the last thing that we got to do, guys, is we have to export our project. So we've basically gone from all these individual video clips, all these individual audio clips, and we put them in our timeline and we organized them and we created a video out of all these video clips that we have edited. Now we want to tell Premiere we want to spit all these organized video clips out into one video that we can then upload onto YouTube. So what we want to do is we want to tell Premiere what part of the timeline that we want to export. And what we do is we're going to hold shift down right now, and then we're going to move your playhead. Holding shift down is going to make your playhead sticky. And that's what we want. We want the playhead to stick to the end of your video. So we're going to actually trim this and we're going to press Shift again, and we're going to stick to the end of my entire project. And I'm going to press I, or I could press this mark in key. And then I'm going to go to the end of my project. Hold Shift down again. And then I'm going to press O, or you could press the out right here. Cool. Now, what you're telling Premiere is you only want to export this part of the timeline from when this footage begins to when the footage ends. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to File. And then we're going to go to Export. And then we're going to go to Media. I'm assuming that you're probably going to want to export this to a format that YouTube likes. YouTube really likes the H.264 codec, or what they're calling the format. So make sure that's clicked. Don't worry about the preset. Now you're going to choose the output name. This is going to be the name of your video file that you're exporting. So click on the blue and let's save it onto our desktop, and let's call it, heck, we'll call it my first. No, we're not going to call it my first project. We're going to call it Acme Construction. Acme Construction promo. Let's take caps lock off. Promo. And then we're going to click save. Cool. We want to make sure that we are exporting both our video and our audio. And then we're going to go to the video tab. Don't worry about the effects tab, audio tab, any of these other tabs. Just go to the video tab. Now, these settings should match our sequence settings, which we know are correct already. So 1920, 1080, yep, that's the resolution we usually want to export on. We usually want to export out to, especially for YouTube. That's just full HD. We make sure that our frame rate is 23.976. That's our base frame rate for the United States that we want to use. If you were, say, in Australia, this would probably read 25 frames per second. Of course, our field order is progressive. That's right. Aspect ratio is square pixels, just like we had set it in our sequence. Everything else should copy our sequence settings to the T. Perfect. Don't worry about anything else. And we're going to now click on export. All right, and now let's close or minimize Premiere, minimize Envato Elements, and let's go over to our desktop, and we see that our, hello there, my name is Osh Jackson. Beautiful edited project has been exported to our desktop just like we told Premiere, and it looks great. And I'm the owner of Acme Construction. Acme is a reliable commercial contractor based out of Los Angeles, California. We provide construction services to the region's fastest growing companies, from as far north as San Francisco to as far south as San Diego. We specialize in 3 main areas: high-rise commercial, schools, and residential units. And we cannot wait to collab with you for your next project. Congratulations, guys. You now know Adobe Premiere. It's time to start creating. And lastly, guys, if you want continued one-on-one tutoring with myself, Josh Olufemii, feel free to hit me up on Instagram or email me at josh@olufemii.com, and we'll go over a rate and content package that'll work for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, remember to keep it chill.